is Billy at Bakersfield Tough Man. Super excited here. You know, we do our Coors Work Hard Cowboy, and it's become a real popular thing in the magazine. Of course, we put a call out, and one of the names that came up, and I did some research, is Doug Williamson, right? And we're here at his ranch out here on, I would say we are southwest or southeast, something like that.
Yeah,
Southeast Bakersfield. And man, when we talk about the history of some of the things in Bakersfield, you've been involved with a lot of that. And let's just get into it. How long have you been ranching?
Well, my dad and I had a ranch in Oregon first, and we run 1,500 head of mother cows in a 200-mile radius.
Wow, 200 miles?
200 miles. I've gotten cattle for 200 miles away from the ranch.
Wow.
And so I'd have to drive them all the way back.
Now, how did you track cattle that far back then? I mean, how do you track them?
Horseback.
Really? You had to go get them?
Yeah. We had 9 cow camps in 200 miles.
Wow.
And so we just went from one cow camp to the other, and there was only a drift fence back in those days. It wasn't fenced up. Now it's fenced up so bad it makes me so sad, because where I went to the last cow camp, 9 cow camps to the back part of our work where we run cattle, they got 34 cattle guards now.
Wow.
And so they just fenced it up and ruined the whole country.
Wow. So it kind of takes the experience away a little bit, right, from the traditional cowboy.
Because you might as well just have little pastures that you guide them around in, you know.
Right.
That was when I was just a pretty young boy. My dad.
And you're 7. How old are you right now?
I'm 73.
73.
I'll be 74 in March.
And you still do it all, though, man. I mean, you're not sitting by.
No, we're not sitting by any fireplace. We got to go get it every morning.
Yeah.
I ride between 12 and 15 head of horses every day.
No kidding.
So, and I work cows, and it's getting a little tougher on me to work that many horses on cows, because it takes a lot of energy to do that. But so far, I've been able to keep it up. So.
Yeah.
But where I was born and raised was in southeastern Oregon, and where Idaho, Nevada, and Oregon come together, those 3 states, I know all that like the back of my hand. But now it's all fenced up, and it's just for the public now to go enjoy, I guess, to walk around on. There's hardly even a cow there.
Yeah.
And so then, and when I was 14, I got my first training horse for the public, and I was going to make $350 to ride him. And I told my dad, I said, "Now don't be taking that horse. Don't be doing anything with him. He's my horse. That's my $350." And da-da-da-da. So he decides he better get on him, and he flips over backwards on him, takes his foot and lays it in his lap, tears his knee plumb bad. And in those days, there was no fixing your knees like they are today.
Right.
And they just had the tendons in a square knot and said, "This is as good as it gets."
Oh.
You know. And so for 5 years, I had to run that whole ranch by myself at 14.
14 years old, you run a whole ranch.
We had 150 acres of hay ground, had 1,500 head of mother cows, and we owned 50,000 acres of deeded land out in that area where we run cattle, but it was in a 200-mile radius.
So we're going to go back 1,500? That's a lot back then, isn't it? I mean, it's like, now we have a lot of cows, but there's a lot more people.
Yeah.
Right? And so you think about the cow per person ratio, that's a lot.
That's a lot. Yeah, it was a lot.
Yeah.
However, where I run cattle there for my dad, and then we run with 2 other guys there, the Markham Cattle Company and then Stuart Elsener. And so we had probably there was 10,000 head of cattle there that we run into and had to bring calves all summer long.
Wow.
And so consequently, I didn't get to go to school 3 months out of the year, and the 3 months that was on vacation was all I had to go to the desert and do my job.
Wow, that's amazing. That's amazing how things change, you know what I mean?
I've had my driver's license since I was 14.
Yeah.
So I had hardship driver's license, you know.
So you came to Bakersfield in what year?
In 1990.
90. And you had some actually work with Tejon Ranch, right?
Oh yeah, I put the Tejon Ranch in the horse business and bought them a good bunch of brood mares, and I bought them 4 good studs, and then one of those stallions was the Snaffabit champion, and then his son 10 years later was a champion. Wow. Also. So I was lucky enough to win that twice.
So you've done some rodeoing, right? I mean,
Well, first I was a jockey.
You're a jockey.
Yeah, I was a jockey.
You're kind of tall for a jockey, though.
I
Aren't you?
was, but I grew 7 inches in 1 year. But here's a cute story, I guess, if you want to call it cute. I mean, you can do whatever you want with it. But I was 10 when I first started riding racehorses. I was actually 9, but then 10, I started riding all over the major racetracks in Oregon and Idaho. And so I got the 5-horse pilot. And so I was at 38 days in bed in the hospital. And so my mother came in one day and she says, I've made a decision about your jockey career. You can't ride anymore till you're 12. When I was 12 years old, for the customer that I rode for was Cully Gardner, and I made $25,000 for him that year.
Wow. And back then, it was a lot of money.
And I got 10%. So, but I grew 7 inches from my sophomore year to my senior year. I grew 7 inches.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's amazing.
So then from there on, I started rodeoing, and since 1964 to 74, I rodeoed for a living in the RCA.
Really? No, that was Northern California. Where were you riding primarily?
From California, Oregon, and Idaho, Montana.
Yeah.
And Calgary, I went to there 3 times.
Now, what was the rodeo scene back then? Because I mean, of course, it's not like it is now, where it's so it's televised and all that stuff. Back then,
there wasn't nearly as much money as there is today. But however, we only had to pay 17 to 19, 23 cents a gallon for gas, and so it made it a little easier that way. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
And I had a really good set of horses that I took, and I either mounted somebody on him, or they was just a R1 on them, one or the other. Yeah.
Right. And you did bronc riding too?
I rode bareback horses a little, whenever they had it all around,
That's pretty hard, right? I've heard that's hard on your body, is that?
Well, bareback riding wasn't hard for me at all. I really enjoyed it, but my main thing that I could really do well was rope calves.
Yeah.
And even though no bigger than I was, I handled a lot of bad wild cattle out in the desert. So I knew how to handle cattle that was not very forgiving.
Yeah.
And that helped me do that job. And the reason for that out there is the reason I do well now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You think some of the stuff that you've learned over the years, I mean, of course you can still apply it today, right? I mean, a lot of the stuff. Does stuff change much over the years though? And when you're talking about ranching?
It's changed a lot.
Yeah.
The first time that I won the Snaffle Bit Fraternity in 1992, I would be embarrassed to show you how bad it was. and then 10 years later, it was so much more correct that you just can't even imagine.
Yeah.
And now it's even tougher. I used to have to beat 5 guys. Now I got to beat 25 of them because they've all gone to school. Where I come from, the old timers that knew what they was doing wouldn't tell you.
Yeah.
And so you had to just kind of learn it from the seat of your pants. But
now you can go on the internet.
Now I can go. Yeah, I guess I could. Only I don't even know how to. I don't even know how to turn it on. But, however, that today they have clinics and schools, and boy, these young guys that are coming up through the ranks are really tough.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the horses are so much better than they was back then. I just can't even tell you.
Right.
Yeah.
You enjoy it still? I mean, you still getting the same. I mean,
I can't wait. I got 5 head of babies that I'm taking to the Snaffle Bit Fraternity this year, and they're maybe the best ones I've thrown my leg over for a long time.
Yeah.
And so I'm excited about going.
Yeah.
And now we're getting ready to go to the World's Greatest Horseman in a couple of weeks, and so I'm excited about that because I got a really good horse to do that with.
Am I wrong to say that you have a competitive spirit to you?
I guess.
I mean, you're getting excited here about I'm
getting excited about it right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, the World's Greatest Horseman, I was reserved 1 year, and I want to win it once before I quit, and then I don't know if I'll ever quit, really, because as long as they still let me win something, I'm going to be doing it.
Yeah.
But I am competitive. When I was in high school, I'm the only one in Vail, Oregon High School that was a 4-year state champion in wrestling. I'm the only one that got to letter 4 years in a row, and they would never let a freshman.
Yeah.
But as a freshman, I won the state 4 years in a row from freshman to senior, and I was beat 1 time. So
that's cool.
So and my dad was a Golden Glove boxer, and so I learned how to do that too. but they outlawed it in high school in Oregon, and so we had to become wrestlers.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, and I loved that event too. It was really good.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Hey, so can you show us around the ranch a little bit?
Oh,
Is
yeah.
that all right? That's
Yeah.
cool. Let me grab my stuff and I'll follow you.
All right.
All right.